Now, answering your questions about the law and legal issues. This is Legal Break with attorney Gary Bruce.
And I'm Maureen Akers. Welcome. Welcome, Gary.
Good morning.
Yes,
good to be here.
Glad to have you. Today's question. Gary, if you're riding in someone's car and you don't have your seatbelt on and you get in an accident and get hurt, who is liable?
All right, so let me get this straight. This is a viewer question, by the way.
Yes.
We left the generalities of Google for a little while.
Yeah.
But so the question is, if I'm not wearing a seatbelt, do I have some responsibility for my injury? I guess that's really it comes down to. And there's two issues here,
Okay.
and this is the 2-minute version, which is really restraining. But here's the deal: whose fault was the wreck? Regardless, the seatbelt is not the issue, and who caused the wreck. Who caused the wreck is responsible.
Okay.
All right. So if you're riding as a passenger, guess what? It probably wasn't you who caused the wreck. Although I have had passengers grab a wheel before and cause a wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not. But
Yeah.
but 99.9% of the time, that has to be determined, and that is not seatbelt dependent.
Okay.
So the burden is on the person who was injured to show who was responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the seatbelt is a defense. It has nothing to do with whose
Okay.
fault it was.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it was your fault this wreck happened, and you say back to me is, but you wouldn't have been hurt as bad if you'd had on your seatbelt. And that's the issue. Now, here's the truth. That becomes really complicated.
Okay.
Because you got to prove that there would have been a different injury.
Yeah.
And the burden then shifts from me, who had to prove it was your fault for causing the wreck. Now the burden is on the person who caused the wreck to prove you wouldn't have been hurt as bad. Yeah, I messed up, but you made it worse because you didn't wear the seatbelt. Now the truth is, we just don't see this much anymore because people wear seatbelts. And well, that's the good news. 25
Yes,
years ago,
right? Yes.
this came up all the time.
Yeah.
People are good about wearing seatbelts now, so I don't hear about this that much. But what happens when an insurance company gets involved and starts trying to blame the victim, which is to say you weren't wearing a seatbelt, so you wouldn't have been hurt if you had been, that's really hard to prove.
Okay.
So now they're having to hire experts, spend a lot of money. It becomes just an entangled mess that, frankly, I rarely see.
Okay.
And Georgia law is a little clearer than Alabama law on this. We're really not supposed to even talk about it unless you can make that proof. And that's a pretty high burden. So anyway, 2-minute answer, I don't know.
Thank you, Gary. We'll see you on the next Legal Break.